So today we're going to be taking a look at a scenario where the USA collapses in 2022. Now I'm kicking off a brand new series where instead of a country forming an empire, their country is going to be falling apart, so it's going to be kind of a reverse effect. Now I've seen you guys' suggestions where I make the empire videos, country collapse at the end, but I think that would add too much time onto the video, so instead I'll be making it its own series. And instead of the empire falling, it'll just be the country falling. So I'm starting this series off with the USA, but I already have a video titled what happens if the USA collapses in 2022. It might seem like a repeat, but it is going to be a little bit different because in that video, it was 50 states, not the rest of the world. In this video, the rest of the world will be having an impact on the USA's collapse. Also, I'm going to try to link it to kind of like realistic problems that the countries have. So like in the USA right now, I think the big split between the government is probably a way the USA could collapse. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new. AdizzPro merch still out. It's only going to be out until early February, and I'm announcing the shout out winner towards like the middle of February. So I'd hurry up and order merch if you haven't already. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. So in this scenario, we have the USA having some political difficulties. Much like in real life right now, the two sides cannot agree on anything, and it's kind of tearing the country apart. And eventually, we see the two most powerful states in the country break away. So with Texas and California out of the picture, the USA is probably going to struggle a little bit without these two states, because like I said, they're the two most powerful, and yeah, it's probably not going to go too well from here. Next up, we see Florida gain independence, and a few more states succeed, and a kind of new state over here in Cascadia, but the country is basically in ruins now. With the entirety of the Northeast breaking away and, New England forming, the rest of the United States is just kind of thrown to the rest of the world. We see the UK landing in South Carolina and moving up and taking over the Carolinian coast, eventually push in and capture around the entire area, and set up a new colony over here in the south. We see Mexico pushing into the south of the United States, pushing into Arizona and New Mexico. Eventually they stop, but for now they are holding on to both Arizona and New Mexico. And of course, we also see Canada play into this as they push into Minnesota. Now the Canadians here are mostly focusing on the areas around the Great Lakes, so they take over Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota. So like I said, the USA is very crippled here, and this is probably going to have effects all around the world, especially over here and in Europe. But with the USA gone, NATO is a lot weaker, the economy of the world is a lot weaker, and a lot of countries might be in trouble. So the official dismemberment of the United States comes forth, and the states that gain land kind of make a peace treaty with it. So taking a look at this peace treaty here, we can see that the United States has been reduced to just this blue area, and like I said, it's going to be dismantled, so just give me a second there. But let's go ahead and look at the peace treaty between the three powers. So Canada gets a new parallel down south, cutting through like Montana and Wyoming, all the way down over, and they get all the Great Lakes. Mexico takes over all of Arizona and New Mexico, as well as pushing into surrounding states, and the UK gets a big majority of the South. Now with this, we have the rest of the United States being split apart. So it's very interesting. I tried my best to draw some of the states like North Carolina, Virginia, and then all of the Northeast. That was, then Texas and California, I don't think look too bad, but the rest of these new states are just kind of not even referenced. So you have West Virginia, Kentucky, and Tennessee making this kind of weird union, while Ohio and Indiana make their own union. This big central blob, we have Nevada, and then we have the South. Also, Alaska and Hawaii were released. I didn't mention that, but they are now countries. Now, just because these places are countries doesn't mean they're really recognized. So we see Mexico declare war on Texas. They push in from the southern border and in from New Mexico, push across northern Texas, and start to head towards the cities. Austin is taken, and the coast is captured, and with this, we see the fall of Texas, and they are fully integrated into Mexico. So now we see Mexico kind of retaking their older claims. They need to take over California and Nevada, but other than that, they pretty much have it all. I'm not really sure how Canada would capitalize on the situation. They might take over New England, and they might take over New York, but I don't really see Canada invading their old friend. Anyway, so now we see the UK expanding down south. They declare war on Florida, and easily push in and capture the country. With that, Florida becomes a colony, and the UK continues its expansion out west. They push into Alabama and over into Mississippi, they then go up into Arkansas, and around and into Oklahoma. Now, the UK has left alone Louisiana for a specific reason, and that's because the French have already claimed it. So we see the French land and take their claim, and the UK and France work out a peace treaty. Taking a look at that said peace treaty here, we can see that everything west of the Mississippi goes to France, and everything east goes to the UK. And it's looking a lot like how it did back in the 18th century with, the colonial powers having a hand over America. The only power we don't see here is Spain, and that's because they were kind of slow. So yeah, we can see how this is kind of straying off from the collapse of America. The country has already collapsed, and we've already explained how. But now we're just seeing what happens to the land. Now, if you haven't noticed already, this video is kind of a mess, as the last video was as well. Like I said, I'm still burnt out from daily upload week. Doing a video every day really really strains you out. So eventually I'll get back into it, but like right now I'm just like, oof. Back to the mapping video though, we have Virginia and North Carolina declaring war on this weird thing over here. Now we all probably know why. West Virginia is a part of Virginia, and then Tennessee used to be a part of North Carolina. So it kind of makes sense. And plus, the two states could probably use some more land for economy and stuff like that, so they just go ahead and invade. West Virginia is captured, and North Carolina takes Nashville. The two forces then push into Kentucky, and eventually this weird abomination of a state surrenders. So the two states get their old territorial claims back. North Carolina gets back Tennessee, and Virginia gets back West Virginia and Kentucky. Although this isn't really the perfect rendition of what they used to have, it's pretty close. But there is a little bit of a problem here, and that's the UK. They want to continue to expand their colony, and up north looks really promising. And yeah, they're a little bit in trouble here. So they use a little bit of appeasement and decide to cede over some of their land. And we're left with this. So about half of Tennessee and a little bit of Kentucky is ceded over to the UK. And in exchange, they won't invade North Carolina and Virginia. We also see the formation of a Eastern Pact here. So from North Carolina to New England, these are all now in a military alliance. So that kind of ensures the safety of these states. Meanwhile, out west, we really don't see anything over here because these guys don't really want to collaborate. And they might be in trouble soon. Anyway, for now, we see the new Eastern Pact over here declaring war on Ohio. Specifically, we have Pennsylvania and Virginia since they're the ones that border it, but the rest of these states are also helping them out. Forces push in, and eventually Ohio is mostly captured. But the big plot twist we have here is the UK joining the war. And once again, this is just because the UK is being the UK, and they want to have a lot of colonies. So they help push into this weird union of a state, and eventually the country capitulates. In this peace treaty, we see Ohio get released and added to the Eastern Pact, and then we see Indiana kind of getting annexed. So let's go ahead and relook at the colonial powers in America. We have the UK and we have France. In addition to this, we also have Mexico, which has invaded US states, and we have Canada that has done the same. So really the only core US territory now is Cascadia, the west, the center, and then the northeast. So things kind of stay like this for a little bit. There isn't much movement on either side, but eventually we do see the four powers in America make a decision. And that decision is to split this center province right here. So all sides declare war and this place gets absolutely clapped. Alright, and America is looking a lot like how it did in the 18th century. We see the UK pushing up and taking over all of the eastern Mississippi area, and France kind of redoing Louisiana. Mexico gets a lot of its older lands back, and also shares that border dispute with France over the Oklahoman Panhandle. And then we have Canada just taking over all of this inner land. So a really quite interesting America here. Will this happen in real life? No, this video is 100% unrealistic. It's not meant to be realistic. It's just a fictional alternative future video, so don't get mad about this. Just for fun. If the USA were to collapse in real life, I'm pretty sure it would just be a bunch of independent states that would probably join NATO, stuff like that. I don't really think that it would happen to this scale. Anyway, we see another event take place over here in the Northeast, and that is all of these northeastern states reforming the United States. Now, in real life, this is probably probable. We would have a lot of these states trying to reform the country, and that's what's going to be happening here. So will it turn out right? Probably not. Will it be powerful? No. Will it have any impact on the world? Probably not. But they do try to follow the original Constitution, and which they probably already have because it was in DC. So I'm assuming either Virginia or Maryland got a hold of that. But yeah, basically a new United States. I have a feeling that these guys aren't really going to give up their land, and it looks like the USA might have to make a few Louisiana purchases. But for now, they buy the Ohio Strip. Over in the north, we have Alaska here. Now, I haven't really talked about Alaska, and that's because they haven't really been doing anything. They're kind of suffering economically, but they are banking off the oil industry, and they're being threatened by Russia, who has kind of been moving troops over here into eastern Siberia. So Alaska probably does the smartest thing and decides to join Canada. And now we can really see a very big and strong Canada. Probably not the same size as Russia, although probably really close. Yeah, this video is actually just what if Canada formed an empire in 2022. Just kidding, it's not, but that was a fun joke. So I'm going to end off the scenario here, but let's go ahead and take a look at a future. So I'm just going to skip ahead in the video, and we're going to look at what possibly could happen to the rest of the territory. First off, we would have the California and Nevada Union, and then eventually a union with Cascadia. We have the USA rebuying a big chunk of the British colony, and we can most likely see a war between Mexico and France involving the Oklahoman Panhandle. Now, who would win this war? I'm not sure. Mexico with all this land would be a lot more powerful, especially Texas. But then again, it's France, so I don't know. France tried to invade Mexico twice in history, didn't go too well, so maybe the third time's a charm. Maybe it's not. But just for fun, let's go ahead and say that Mexico wins this situation. Mexico gains a large part of Louisiana, and the USA is ceded over Missouri and Arkansas. We also see Canada getting a little bit out of northern Missouri, and then back down here we have Louisiana, which is the only thing that France now holds in North America. Once again, would it escalate to this? No, but this is just a fictional alternative future scenario, so don't freak out about it. I know. Like I said, I'm burnt out from mapping. I'm not really proud of this video, but hopefully I can get back into it soon enough and then make it better. I don't want to take a break because that kind of destroys everything. So I won't be taking a break. I'll just be staying away from mapping in my free time, if that makes sense. I'm just going to be preserving it for videos. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new. I would really appreciate that. It also helps out the channel a lot, especially subscribing. You should really subscribe. We're getting really close to 30K, which is amazing. 30,000 people is a lot of people. I don't even know if I can count that high. Anyway, once again, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.